Man, oh man, I don't know how many more of these games I can take. These heart-wrenching, ulcer-causing, fingernail-biting games that make you want to pull your hair out, where the 49ers, squeak out a victory. Going forward, I think the 49ers really need to tighten up what they're doing if they want to make headway in the playoffs. This is definitely not a long-lasting way of, making your way through the playoffs with these kind of games. It's going to get you beat, and hopefully going forward they can tighten things up on the offensive and defensive side. They have a lot of work to do. They got another big test next week. They go to Seattle, in Seattle for the division and for home field advantage throughout. There hasn't been a bigger incentive to win and play your best game of the year than that. And hopefully the 49ers can find a way to beat the dreaded Seahawks in their place, which is something they haven't done since 2011. Yesterday's game was definitely a game where a lot of players had a heavy heart. The sudden passing of C.J. Beathard's brother from a senseless stabbing was definitely weighing on the team. A lot of players after the game, especially George Kittle, very emotional. The post-game talk with Coach Shanahan to the players was very emotional. This team has dealt with a lot of that these last couple of years with the loss of Tony York, and now with the loss of C.J. Beathard's brother. So this team was definitely, their minds were definitely in another place. It was awesome of them to come out with the win. Definitely for C.J., I mean, that offers really nothing in the scheme of life, but that was the one thing he asked, is that they could get a victory, and they did that for him. So God, hope my prayers, thoughts and prayers are definitely with that family for that situation they're going through. There's not much you can say about that. It's just very, very tragic. All right, I'm going to talk a couple points about what I saw last night. The first one being the offense. The offense last night was, needless to say, clunky at best. Pass protection was probably its worst it's been all year. 6 sacks given up by the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo under constant duress. A couple of those were coverage sacks where he just held onto the ball too long. But it seemed like that what happened during the Atlanta game kind of rubbed off on this one too, where the 49ers offense just wasn't able to make certain plays just because they just didn't have the time. And you wonder why they didn't move the pocket with Garoppolo, kind of like they did with Jared Goff, where, bootlegging him out, try to get him in some space. A lot of those sacks, Garoppolo just stood right in the pocket and didn't move, and it's frustrating to watch because they have a lot of explosive players on that offense, and when you can't get your ball to your playmakers, it's kind of pointless to have them. Kittle with another big-time game, big-time touchdown catch. He's money. He's nails, as usual. Deebo Samuel contributed last night. He was nails too. He was awesome. The rookie he's really come on later on this year, and he's definitely making a statement about rookie receivers and them not being much of a factor during their rookie year. He's definitely been a factor. It's nice to see. Again, you wonder about the offensive line having 2 starters out. Definitely showed. Running game wasn't super effective, as it hasn't been the last couple weeks. Pass protection, like I said, was pretty bad last night, and Jimmy Garoppolo took some big-time hits. So they definitely have to clear that up going into Seattle. Let's talk about the 2 third down and 16 plays on that last drive. Unbelievable throws by Jimmy. Way to stand in there and deliver. 2 clutch throws in a pressure-packed situation. You could say what you want about Jimmy and him being erratic. Those throws were money, and it was great to see. Yeah, you definitely don't want to live on that. Like I said before, you don't want to live on these type of games. You got to play better throughout so that you're not in the situation where you got to depend on these kind of finishes all the time, because those are going to get you beat in the playoffs. Defensive-wise, this team is definitely reeling right now. The loss of some of the depth and some of the players that they've had early on in the year, Quan Alexander, Jaquaski Tart, D. Ford, even Ronald Blair. I mean, just not having those players in that depth, it's definitely showing. The pass rush got, again, another no-sack game. Didn't get a lot of pressure on Goff. They affected some of his throws and had him eating dirt on a couple of them, but it all affects each other. I mean, the secondary played poorly last night, but I think that part of it was a result of just not having a lot of pass rush and not a lot of pressure in Goff's face. And another thing that the Rams did is they did a lot of rolling out and moving of the pocket, and it seemed like the 49ers didn't have a lot of answers for it, at least early on, which is frustrating to watch. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Saleh. Some people think that I'm way too critical and that, he's lost a lot of players and that I should be aware of that or whatever. But I'm just, like I said, I'm not a big Robert Saleh fan, and last night just kind of confirmed that for me. But that's just my opinion. Special teams had a good night last night. An 82-yard return. That was incredible. It was a way to set the tone early on and answer the opening touchdown by the Rams. I mean, they didn't get a touchdown on that drive, but it was definitely a good way to respond. Fred Warner with a huge interception return last night. That was big time to bring the Niners, give the Niners the lead going into half. This game was just one of those kind of heart attack type games where, every time I thought the Niners were down, and I thought they were down a lot in this game, I didn't have a lot of faith in them. I thought they were playing sluggish once again, and I thought it would take a miracle for them to win, and that's exactly what they got. So going forward, this team's got a lot of work to do. Offensively, they got to clean up the offensive line. They got to get that running game going on a consistent basis. They got to get Jimmy some time to throw and get these long developing routes going. Just this team overall needs a lot of work. Defensively, they got to find a pass rush. They got to find a way to get to the quarterback. Maybe blitz a little bit more. There's got to be some sort of defensive adjustments going forward with Robert Saleh. You can't play the same vanilla coverages and only bring 4 all the time. You don't have the horses that you had early on, and you got to make adjustments accordingly. You just can't go out and do the same thing regardless of who you have out there. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Next week we go into Seattle, the biggest game of the year, in a really hostile place that we haven't won since 2011. Hopefully we can come out with a victory and capture the NFC West and home field advantage throughout, and who knows if we can do that? Who knows how far we can go? It would help us in the injury department as well. We would get some players back if we were able to get a bye, and that could serve us well down the line. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'm looking forward to next week. Can't wait for it. This has been an awesome year. Regardless of how it ends, I'm just glad the 49ers are playing some meaningful football in late December going into January. So we will wait and see, guys and gals, and hopefully the Niners can, hopefully they make a push, and we could be talking about football in February. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'll talk to everybody later. Thank you. See ya.